like to know your opinion. How do you think, how old is corruption?
Corruption is very, very old. I mean, we saw already, I think in the old Egypt, I think the oldest mention of corruption is an Egyptian papyrus where an architect, I think, was complaining that somebody else was appointed in his place and had paid a bribe to be elected. So it's very old.
So this is kind of our human nature. What is the basis, or basic roots of corruption?
Well, the basic root of corruption is based on greed. People are greedy. They have some power, and they use the power they have for their benefit.
Mm-hmm.
And it is your human nature. If there is nobody checking, this can happen.
I would like you to comment this every annual ranks of corruption in the world. Yes, why some countries are on top? They are a little more cleaner, and other very low. What is the problem? Why some this is problem in culture, or in history, in mentality, in spirituality, in economics?
Yes. So it is the Corruption Perceptions Index, and it is issued by Transparency International every year. And it is based on the perception of corruption. So there are different sources, about 10, 12 sources, which are amalgamated to get each country gets a note and a rank. So it is. There are no solid data on corruption because people do not report the bribes they are getting. You know, there is no register of bribes anywhere. But people, people who are involved, whether they are business people or they are civil society or they are scientists, they have an idea of corruption in various countries. So that's how the index is calculated. Now, why? There are different reasons why certain countries rank better than others. Culture is one. Maybe the strength of the culture and of the ethical principles. There are other elements, for example, where the government is weak. Where the government is weak, the corruption is higher. Where there is a lot of money flowing in. For example, in Afghanistan, with the occupation of Afghanistan, there is a lot of money coming in. And then there is a lot of corruption because a lot of money gets diverted. So these are some of the reasons for corruption.
In your small lecture, you mentioned that difference between corrupted and not much corrupted countries is also because some countries are Protestant.
Yeah, I think it has nothing to do with theology. But it's generally considered that the Protestant ethics, the Protestant morals, is rather demanding, rather strict. So that may be one of the reasons why some countries are on the top of the list. And if you look at the 10 countries with the best rank, 9 and have a very strong Protestant background. The other one is Singapore, and Singapore has a Confucianist background. That probably helps too.
Mm-hmm. What is the place of Eastern Europe countries in this rank?
The Eastern Europe countries do not rank very well. Estonia has done quite very good efforts to reduce corruption and they rank well. The other countries rank in the middle or in the lower half. Ukraine and Russia are ex aequo on the rank 131. The Central Asian countries rank even lower than that.
Mm-hmm. What is the reputation of Ukraine in the Europe? Do you know something about this?
The reputation of Ukraine
in this field, I mean. Yes?
In this field is not very good. But if you ask Ukrainians, they will tell themselves that they think that there is a lot of corruption in their country. So of course, if the Ukrainians think it themselves, then the foreigners think it as well.
How do you think why?
Why it is?
Why we are sick of corruption? Why this is our disease?
I think it has to do with the structure of society. It has to do with the privatizations. The privatizations, like in Russia, have allowed some oligarchs to take the state power, that's called the state capture, to capture the state power and to use it in their interest. And also there is a lot of money, I think, in Ukraine. There's enough money for corruption.
How does the corruption affect the Ukrainian economy, business, and development?
Corruption is very detrimental to development because where there is corruption, investments are not attracted because they are not safe. So it frightens investors. There is also no security, no legal security if the judiciary is corrupt, because the judiciary should normally permit to protect one's rights. If the judiciary is corrupt, it's another factor of instability.
Mm-hmm. I know that you was a leader of Transparency International in your country, Switzerland. Mm-hmm. What methods you was using in fighting this corruption in your country?
The method we were using was mainly advocacy, expressing our opinion on certain problems in Switzerland, proposing or taking a position towards certain legislative change. For example, the protection of whistleblowers. We were also informing the public and advising companies, exporting companies, essentially about the risks of paying bribes abroad.
Mm-hmm. I know that Georgia has some success story in this field.
Yes.
Do you know something about this? Can we learn something from them?
Yes, what I have heard is that Georgia was successful in reducing petty corruption. Petty corruption is the small amounts which are paid to to some civil servant, maybe to the police or people like this, but they're small amounts. And this, of course, is also making the life of citizens difficult. So, from what I understand, Georgia was less successful in fighting large-scale corruption. This is the corruption at a high level on the big projects where large amounts of money are involved.
Mm-hmm. In the end, I will ask you some advices for Ukraine. I don't know if you know our situation very well or not so well, but still maybe you can give us some advices. What can we use as a methods to fight corruption?
I think that in order to be successful, I think it's necessary to change attitudes. And in order to change attitudes, I mean, it's not something. It's something which takes time. It's something which may take several years, but it's necessary to constantly inform people about the corruption there is, to also to inform people about cases of corruption, about civil servants or politicians who are earning amounts of money which cannot be explained only by their salary. It's necessary to educate children already, children and students about the evils of corruption.
Maybe one more question. What is the role of media in this process?
The role of the media is very important because if there are no free media, it's quite difficult to inform the public and to have a transparent situations. So the role of the media is quite important.
Thank you very much.
Okay.